Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to install an aftermarket stereo double DIN unit into an Audi R8. This is a generation 1. So first things first, you'll need to use get some Audi radio removal keys. You'll need 4 of these, just one there, one up here, and then one down there. When these are pushed in, they'll click, and then you can literally just pull your original unit out. Obviously this is already removed. Once you pull this out, you'll have 3 connections. Your first quad lock, which is a case of literally just, if you pinch these 2 together and then pull it out, then you'll be able to pull the connection out. Your aerial, and also an aerial, I think this is for sat nav, but I'm not sure. It's redundant anyway, you don't need that. So first thing is you can just tuck that away. So for the install, you'll need a double DIN of your choice. I've gone for a Pioneer with CarPlay. You'll need a 3D printed plate. I'll put a link down below of a file which you can get 3D printed yourself, or there's a guy on the R8 Owners UK Facebook page that does them, called Nathan. You also need a double DIN cage that fits the adapter. I think Nath will be able to advise on what size you need, but for mine, I was in a rush, so I just cut the bottom off of my Pioneer cage. The other thing you'll need an aerial adapter. This just goes from your standard aerial adapter to the Audi adapter, or whatever it is. And then also you'll need a CP2 adapter, which I will link below, which you can get from Halfords or Amazon. It just comes with this box for the steering wheel controls, and also the adapter from the Audi quad lock down to your standard radio adapter. So you'll need to adjust these dip switches depending on what radio you have. This is now set up for a Pioneer unit, so if you have a Pioneer, you can copy this. If not, then you can obviously look on the Control Pro app if you're on iPhone or Android, and it tells you exactly where to put them, so it's nice and easy. So the first thing you'll want to do is you'll want to grab your 3D printed cage, or like say the one that you get off Facebook, and then you want to put that in. So this cage goes in sort of top end first, just like that, and then the bottom will just push in nice and snug. There's no clips or anything, that's it, just sits in. And then second, you'll need to grab your cage. Like I said, this was just a rush job because I wanted the stereo in quick. So yeah, you'll just want to put your cage in. Obviously you might have the right size rather than what I'm doing, but mine will just slot in, hopefully, just like that. Right, secondly, you'll need to do some connections. So your first connection is obviously your Audi quad lock. It literally just places together with the CP2 unit you get from Halfords, and then just push in and that'll click. Now the only wire modification you need to do is you'll need to grab your CP2 connection. It will have a loose blue wire that says power antenna. I don't know if you'll be able to read that. It would be loose, and then from your radio harness, which is my Pioneer radio harness, you'll need to connect your amp on. Well, it's usually blue and white, or it'll be remote or something, it'll be labeled something like that. You need to connect them 2 together. This is soldered and then heat shrinked, and I've just wrapped some electrical tape around there just to be sure. If you don't have any sound when you install the new radio, it'll be because you haven't connected these 2 together. This obviously sends power back and turns on your factory amp. This is a B&O system in this Audi, but I'm sure it's the same if you have a standard audio. You need to still turn on the amp. Then next, you'll need to connect your CP2 harness to your original radio harness. Just these usual standard connections. And then just tuck all these wires away. first of all, I've also already installed this radio, so I'm just doing this for the video purposes. So you need to just grab your wires out. Where did that USB go? There. Right, next connection is your radio adapter. So you'll grab just the factory Audi radio adapter, and you'll be able to connect it up to the one you get off Amazon. There'll be a link below. I think it's Amazon or Halfords, only a couple of quid. And then just tuck all that away, as well as tuck all this wire away. I'll come back and tidy this up after the video is made. But just want to shove all of your wires back there. Right, and then the next thing to do is grab your stereo. Like I said, this is the Pioneer, and then you'll have on the CP2 unit you'll have phonos. They're all labelled front right, front left, etc. And on the radio also you'll have the same connections, or the holes for them, front left, front right, and then you just want to connect whatever's on your CP2. So for example, front right will go in FR, and then FL, front left, etc. Just go for them four. The next, you'll need to connect your radio harness as normal, which just goes in the back of there. And then I've got my 3.5mm jack for the steering wheel controls. If you don't have a hole in a 3.5 in your stereo for that, then this will be wired in. It depends on your user manual for the aftermarket radio you choose, but mine's got the hole. WR it's labelled, so this is redundant. Also got my mic for my external mic for the aftermarket radio. Just plug that in. You've got your aerial adapter. It's got quite a lot of wires. Just plug in like that. And then last connection for me is I've got my USB for my Apple CarPlay unit. So I'll just shove that around there. Again, it's just tucking these away for video purposes, but I'll come back and tidy it up afterwards. Right, and then obviously your cage won't be bent like mine, but you'll have to just get the stereo into the cage somehow. Mine's bent out, so it's a little bit tricky to get in. And then once that like that, obviously now's your time to test the radio, make sure it's all working. So just ignition on. And just check in obviously through all of your settings, make sure everything's working as it should. And then at this point I won't play any music because obviously copyright, but you'll need to obviously play music before you click the stereo back in, just to make sure your audio is working. Obviously making sure you've connected that power antenna wire over to your amp on blue wire from the radio harness. That should make the amp come on, your factory amp. And that's pretty much it. Like I say, you'll need also with your cage, you should get a fascia also. I'd say mine was a quick job, so I've just hacked up the original one just to sit in there for now until I get round to getting the actual cage. But I needed this done quite quickly, so that's what I've done. I've just hacked mine up. But yeah, so once that's all done, you've tested, just push the radio, obviously clip that right back in. I'm not gonna do it now because I need to tidy up the wiring. But yeah, we'll just clip the stereo back in, pop the fascia on, and then you're all done.